call this workshop to order. This is the Mayor and Aldermen workshop. Kathy, you want to go ahead and into the citizens' comments?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. We do have several people signed up tonight for the Citizens Forum. Comments are limited to 3 minutes each, and if you approach your 3 minutes, Chief Walker will let you know. The first speaker is Ms. Becky Pollock, please. When you get up here, please state your name and address.
My name is Becky Pollock. I live at 8041 Burntwood Drive, Laverne. I'm here regarding the Blair Road apartment project. I'm opposed to it based upon the fact that the traffic up and down Blair Road, there's already, numerous, I know of 3 in the last 3 months that have been on the curves and stuff in that project. The roads need to be widened at least to a 3-lane road with sidewalks before a project, another 3,000 cars on that road. It's an old country road. There's drop-offs on both sides, and it's just not conducive to that kind of traffic. Also, I'm opposed to the project because of the outsourcing to Smyrna with the tax revenue on the sewers. If we have a project like that, we need to keep all the revenue in the city of Laverne that we can to help pay for the various other things that project would be using, like the fire and the police and all of that. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Mr. Scott Butler. Please go ahead and state your name and address.
Scott Butler. I live in Smyrna, but currently building homes in Pinnacle Point, that's in Laverne at the end of Waldron Road. My voice is on the sprinkler system that's coming up as far as the future upcoming meetings. I just want to continue to voice that, I do oppose that just for the growth of Laverne and the future building. To continue to keep building in Laverne, if that's possible, with the expense of it, that's not feasible. As far as I checked on with my insurance company. There's the insurance company that I use, as far as there's a savings, they said that there's 15% savings if you sprinkle the closets and sprinkle every single room in the house. There's only 8% if you just do the main rooms, which is required now by codes, is an 8% savings, but they're saying with the upcoming problems like Nolensville that's had all the pipes freezing and busting, the mold situation, they're padding. There's the savings on the sprinklers, but there's not because they're padding the water damage side of the insurance. So they have to pad that more to cover the water damage as far as for the insurance coverage with these homes and stuff. So for what they're telling me, there's not really a savings. But that's all. Just continue to. I just wanted to speak a little bit on the sprinklers. Also, we're losing. I think Joe Morgan has 5 customers. They're waiting on to see if this is going to stay in place or not stay in place, as far as if they're going to build in Laverne or not. So we're still losing customers as far as today goes with this. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Joe Morgan.
Hello, Joe Morgan, live in Smyrna. I'm building in Pinnacle Point and Woodsong subdivision. I have currently 5 potential home buyers right now for the city of Laverne. Average sales price of $334,000 on their homes. If they're going to have sprinkler systems in their home, then they're going to Nolensville or they're going to Smyrna. So just to let you know that the city of Laverne is losing potential home buyers every day with this sprinkler system. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Cravens.
Paul Cravens, live in Antioch. I'm also building in McFarland Point. Currently got 4 lots in there. I spoke to my insurance agent as well. He said there's really not a discount when it comes to the fire sprinklers. He feels that it's more of a hindrance than anything. Just with the weather that it's been, the lack of people that know what they're doing to install them, whether it's in Tennessee, outside Tennessee, it doesn't make any difference. Also, the cost-wise, to install them correctly, not only does it cost to install them, but you also have to add more insulation around them. So not only is it the cost of the irrigation, I mean the sprinklers, it's also the cost of making sure if you have to install them that the insulation within the attic and around the pipes themselves are currently that way better. They also find that homeowners, when they get in the house, they don't know where these pipes are running. So let's say you hang something on the sidewall, because all the pipes run interior walls and up top. So let's say you're drilling in a hole and you hit that live. It's always live. The only way you can turn that off is the outside water meter. So let's say that you had a sprinkler system this winter going off and you were buried under 3 inches of ice and your whole house is getting watered right now. The only way you can do it is you go outside and you turn it off in the water meter. Anybody know where the water meter is? Can you get to the water meter? At that point, I mean, you're not only do you have water damage in just maybe the bedroom, but you now have it all the way through the bottom or the top or whatever it may be. It's just not cost effective, you know. So I would like to build more, you know, in McFarland Point, but you know, it's more of a hindrance than anything. It's kind of depressing. So, thanks.
Thank you. Judd Scott.
I'm Judd Scott. I live at 4001 Cherish Hope Court, and I'm here in opposition to the Blair Road apartment project. And the point that I would make is this project was considered by the council, the Board of Aldermen last year, and unanimously defeated because of the safety issues of Blair Road. And there's really been no substantive changes to the project other than that one little curve since then, so I would question why it would be considered again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Woodward.
My name is Kevin Woodward. I live at 2101 Sherbrooke Lane. I'm also the president of the Rutherford County Home Builders Association. We stand in opposition to sprinklers for a multitude of reasons, but one of the primary reasons is economic development. If you have builders stating that they cannot build or will not sell properties, that's going to affect the bottom line of the city of Laverne. The tax base is going to become stagnant. I have a developer that's got a very large development here in Laverne that if this continues, he's thinking about scrapping the entire development. You're talking potentially 300 new homes. That's a lot of tax base that you're going to need, especially when you just instituted a fire department. You've got to pay for that equipment. The other thing I'd like to address is last time we were here, we saw a video that was presented by the alderman. And I would like to just point out a couple quick things from that video that Orange County did. Number one, if you take a quick look at that video, you'll notice that the 2 houses were sandbagged out front, that they were prepared for the fire, for the water to enter into the streets and into the sewer systems. Number 2 is knowing that was an intentionally set fire by the fire department, you had a piece of apparatus that was taken out of equipment, out of service. Another apparatus had to carry in for that company to do it. So when you have a piece of apparatus that is knowing it's going to a fire, it's going to have a very, very fast response time. There's no 2 ways about it. They know they're going somewhere. The other thing is Orange County should be very ashamed of themselves for one primary reason. They removed a smoke alarm from a bedroom, which is against the code, number 1. And so if you're going to start skewing data, if you will, and saying that the smoke alarm didn't go off as fast, well, of course it didn't. It wasn't even in the room. when it was with the sprinklers, it was in the same room. You've moved it 15, 20 feet down the hall. As we all know, heat rises, smoke rises. If you don't have a smoke alarm in a room, it's going to hit the fire break, that being a door threshold or door header. And until it reaches a certain level of density, the smoke will then point out, or a certain level of heat, where that heat will begin to roll and out into the hall where you're going to get the alarm to go off. But of course, that alarm's not going to go off if it's not in the room. So the Orange County Fire Department, as well as the Orange County City Council that did that, should really be ashamed of themselves because they broke the law in doing so. They removed a fire smoke alarm that is mandated by code to be in that room, to change the status of how the response would be if that alarm was not in the room. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Cole?
Jason Cole, I live at 7115 Beard Court. I'm here to discuss as far as the apartment complex coming in on Blair Road. No one's against development, but planned and safe development. Blair Road is, well, it's a mess for anyone who travels down it, especially at night or in fog or in rain. So please consider the safety of the residents, those coming and those here. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn Hickerson.
I'm Carolyn Hickerson. I live at 605 Knollwood Drive in Laverne. And I want to first thank Tom for getting me numbers on the Blair Road project, because I still understand your point of view on the impact fees developing Blair Road, but it won't develop all of Blair Road. My major concern is the safety of Blair Road, but also the traffic onto Waldron Road. I live off of Waldron Road, which is a school road, and that school road is very narrow, and if you have an emergency at the Blair Road interchange, you will have to have traffic come and dump onto Waldron Road. And if there's an emergency at the school or something like that, there is no way for fire and police to get up Waldron Road when it's 2 lanes blocked and there's no place to go for a car but a ditch. And so this is a safety issue not only for Blair Road but for Waldron Road and the residents of Blair and Waldron, and it needs to be addressed proactively. We need to look at the road structures before we do development. Development prematurely will only bring more headaches and more problems to the city, and so we need to have smart development. I'm not against apartments. I'm not against development. I'm not against even having some development that would bring us shopping on that side of town. But premature development, we need to fix all of Blair Road. We need to fix all of Waldron Road to the school. And we need to keep our families and our children safe.
Thank you. That is the last speaker, Mayor.
I want to thank everyone for the getting up and speaking. We're going to go right into the workshop. This is a workshop, February 26, 2015. It's for the March 3rd, 2015 regular meeting. I've got the prayer. Alderman Broker, you got the Pledge of Allegiance. Look over your minutes. Then we'll have the department reports. And number 3 is the first one to be old business. Second reading ordinance 2015-02, an ordinance to amend Title II, Chapter 6, Section 2-601 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the members of the local emergency planning committee. I take it this is what we had last month, removing a person from the airport.
Yes, sir, that's correct. The Smyrna Rutherford County Airport Authority didn't have anybody to appoint to that committee, so they've requested that position be removed.
Any questions on number 3, old business? Moving into consent agenda. Number 4, we got a number of items. A, approve recommendation for city bids and purchases. Number 1, bid for fireworks for Independence Day celebration. I take it this has done been voted on. It was just waiting to see if Evan can look over the contract, and I take it he has looked over it and approved it?
Yes, the contract came actually after the bid was approved, and so the contract went to Evan, and he did review it and requested changes. Pyro Shows has agreed to those changes, so this just approves the actual contract.
Any question on A1? A2 is Sanders Still Water Storage Tank Improvements. This might be a bill. Bill, you gonna get up and speak a little bit on this one?
Yes. 2 years ago, you had a state inspection from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, and they noted that the Sanders Road water tank was in bad condition and needed painting. At that time, we would have trouble, if we'd have taken that tank out of service for painting, we would have trouble keeping the tank beside it full. There's 2 tanks side by side at that one location. The state allowed Laverne to put that off until the 18-inch water line was installed over by the roundabout. That'll let us pump a lot more water to that area. So now we can safely take that tank out of service and paint it. We took bids on the 24th, which I think was 2 days ago, and we had 7 bidders, and I believe you got a bid tab in your package. If not, I'll pass another one out. We had 7 bidders, and the apparent low bidder is Preferred Sandblasting and Painting out of Shelbyville. And we've checked their license and we've checked their bonds, and they appear to be a reputable contractor. We've not dealt with them before, but we have good references from other people. Unfortunately, it was over budget. I tried to make you aware of this at the planning retreat. When we got into doing the plans and specs, the tank was in a lot worse shape than we thought. In addition to a lot of rust on the inside, a lot of items are just rusted through. And there's lead-based paint that needs to be taken out. I'm pouring a closer look. The outside paint's in poor condition also. It needs to be taken out. And you can see some of the items that need repairing are on the bid item, on the bid form. So I've put together a recommended budget, which I hope you have that also. Yes. The original budget for the construction was $105,000. This low bid was $275,250. Since we're dealing with an old rusty tank, I'd like to include in the budget a contingency of $27,750. We've overrun our engineering, but I understand that's a separate agenda item, so I'll come back to that. But if you do agree to increase our engineering fee, then we're going to ask for $40,000, but that'll be subject to this board's approval. But assuming that does go through, then the total budget will be $343,000. And a good question to ask is, where will this extra money come from? And this is a summary I passed out during the retreat, and I'll give you another copy because I know you don't keep every piece of paper. This is hold up.
Appreciate it.
But the last several projects in the water system, we've been under budget. And take the last 2 in here, the small diameter water line, we were under budget $600,000. And the 18-inch water line, we were under budget $300,000. So we were under budget. Final numbers on those 2 projects to make up the difference here, if you feel comfortable with that. And so at this time, we're going to recommend that the City of Laverne award the contract for the painting to the low bidder, which was Preferred Sanding, Blasting, and Painting, and their low bid was $275,250. Be glad to answer any questions.
One question I got, the original bid was $135. Quite a bit of a difference. Bruce, does this thing need to be rebidded?
No, the original bid was just an estimate from Bill Griggs. That was just an engineer's estimate. It was not what was originally bid. So what was bid is what this 275 is.
Okay, original budget, okay.
I want to make you aware of one thing, though. When that tank was built years ago, they poured a concrete foundation. Then they brought in steel plates on trucks, set them up with a crane, and welded them together. That's a welded steel tank. And when this contractor gets in there to go to work, he's going to have to go inside that tank. The only way to go inside that tank right now is a 24-inch diameter hole, which I've gone in and out of before, and I can do it, but it's awkward. He's going to have to get some scaffolding in there, some ladders, some sandblast equipment, and all his paint equipment. So it's common practice to cut a hole in that steel tank to allow him to let him get his equipment in and out. And that's standard practice, and it won't hurt the tank. And when he gets through, he'll weld it back, and he'll repaint that. But I'm just making you aware of that, so if you drive by and you see this big hole in your tank, you won't call Mike Walker. All right.
So you said there were 7 bids?
Sir?
You said there were 7 bids?
Yes, sir.
Did you have a printout of that? All
Yes,
7?
sir.
So I'd like to know the highest.
Is there one in your package? If not, I'll give you this one.
Yeah, there's one in the packet, but you may want a paper copy, make it easier to see.
I'll give you this one anyway.
No, I'll get the paper copy later. Thank you.
Any other questions
Well,
on
I got
that?
2 more.
Sir?
One, you could fit through the 24-inch hole. You ain't suggesting I couldn't?
I didn't want to bring that up.
And how can you determine lead-based paint from water-based by looking at it?
You can't. That's our job. Our job is to make sure that he meets the plans and specifications. Part of that will be including he uses the exact paint that we specified, and we specified paint that's now approved by the American Water Works Association. He'll submit a sample information to us. We'll approve it or disapprove it, and then when we're on site, we make sure he's using what we've approved. In fact, we feel so comfortable, we feel so strongly about that. We feel like the paint that we want to use is a paint manufactured by a company called Tnemic. And we had all the bidders supply with their bid a letter from Tnemic Company saying this contractor uses their products properly. So every one of these 7 bidders had a letter from Tnemic Company saying they are an authorized painter for our products. But it's our job to make sure that we don't go back with lead-based paint or inferior paint.
More questions?
I got one more question. Will that involve a hazmat team or anything when they start stripping lead paint?
Yes, sir. There are regulations to, one, make sure it doesn't get out into the neighborhood, regulations to protect the workers, and there's regulations on how to properly dispose of that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. The contractor will have over $1 million worth of insurance to make sure he just paints the tank, not the area around it. So, all right.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Moving on to B, approval disposal for S&W contracting to remove fiber cable on Murfreesboro Road and Fergus Road. Glenn, you want to speak on this one?
Mayor, this is, we basically have a fiber, which Glenn, if you got any questions on fiber, you can probably talk more about it, but it's the one that comes from Murfreesboro and Smyrna and everything. But we've got a fiber here that is on some poles. It's on Murfreesboro Road and Fergus Road that NES owns the poles. We have an attachment agreement with NES. They basically give us an email specifying that they've got a project coming up. I believe it's with Comcast. We've got to move our fiber. So in doing so, we've got a quote from S&W that should be in the packet. I believe it's about $9,640 as far as a not-to-exceed contract. They're going to move the fiber based on this project of, there's different heights and stuff that we've got to move throughout on different poles. Also, in this, since this, it's funny we got it at the same time, but Middle Tennessee Electric give us one also that they're going to do under the same amount. It's a pole, I believe it was hit by, wasn't it hit by a car or something, an accident or something? I think it's hit by a vehicle. but that pole had to be replaced, so they're gonna also move that fiber for us. And then there's one by Public Works that they're gonna also, I think Glenn's been trying to get one moved for a year now or longer. So they're gonna fix it too under this contract. But it's something that we have to do based on our agreement with NES to be on their poles.
Any questions? Moving on to C, approve a proposal for Standstill Electric Company to repair lighting at I-24. This looks like a Russell. Is that your deal on the light pole?
Yes, this is, I think I've talked with you before about it. We've got a contract with the state. We have to keep up the street lights and the high mast lights on I-24 interchange from Davidson County to the Smyrna line. It's, I don't know how many years old it is, probably 30 years old. The wires are brittle. You know, we've got 3 that's been knocked down. But this doesn't pertain to that. This is just to get them back working. There's some rewiring and stuff in the panel box. And then I'll be coming back before you too. I think we've got a check on one of the poles that were knocked down, but the other one was a hit and run. The other one, we just happened the other day, so I hadn't got the insurance back on it yet. So, but this is just to get them back up and running. That's the ballast above and the box.
Okay. Any questions? No question. Move to D, approval. A user agreement between Youth Incorporated for the Inline Hockey League. I think this is something we do each year, or have we done it last year?
We've been doing it for a while. They're kind of under new management now. They had some issues with the guy that was running the league, and they've kind of taken it over, and they're going to be a little more hands-on, but the agreement's basically the same as what we give football. They're much smaller, and they don't require a lot of attention, but we'll just take half of their concessions, and the only thing we'll do different on theirs is change the dates around. But they've always been really easy to work with, and you know, if they don't use that inline hockey rink, nobody will. Or the kids will use it to play soccer, but that's not what it's for. So.
Any questions? Moving on to E, approve a maintenance and support agreement with Mofo Track LLC for the Police Department automatic fingerprint identification system.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman, this is simply a maintenance agreement contract with Mofo Track so that we can ensure that we have any updates that's needed and necessary so that we can communicate our fingerprinting from that device to TBI and FBI. One of the things we found out when we had to replace that machine, and one of the reasons we had to replace it, was the equipment that was there previously that was automated had not had any software update since 2008, nor had there been a maintenance agreement since then on that old piece of equipment. That's why we wound up having to buy the new one, and we want to make sure we care for this one. And it's just simply maintenance that we need to do up front so that we don't have to worry about the updates down the road and what it might cost.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions on the fingerprint? Thank you, Chief. Moving on to F, approve amendment to a proposal engineering services for Griggs and Maloney for the Sanders still water storage tank improvement project.
When we got, as I said a while ago, when we got into the plans and specs, we found a whole lot more items that were rusted through and worn out than we anticipated. When we started this project, we thought we were just going to paint the interior of the tank, and that's bid item 2, and that was real close to our estimate. I think his bid for that was $95,000. It's all these other items that we found that caused his price to go up, and it took a lot more time and effort on our part. Our bid, our fee on the original was $15,000. We've now gone past that, but we didn't stop because the tank's needed. We want to get this guy in hand and get his equipment ordered so he can get painting when the weather turns warm. The tank's going to be out of service 6 months, and we don't want it to be out any longer than that. Since Bruce has been here the whole time. Griggs and Maloney has worked for the city of Laverne. We've never asked for an increase in any fee we've ever done. But we went past this one so bad, I'm just asking for your consideration. Original fee was $15,000. We're asking for another 25. It gets it up to 40,000. But it's strictly your choice. We're going to finish the job whether you agree to that or not. It's our obligation. We're going to finish it out. So we're just asking for your consideration.
Anybody got any questions?
Thank you.
Bruce, I would like, since this is on the consent agenda, to go ahead and move this F item off of it, put it on a separate deal.
Put it under new business?
Yes.
Okay.
That being said, nobody got any more questions, move on to new business. Appoint or remove board members. A, Planning Commission, appoint mayor's designee. I'll be appointing a designee Tuesday to sit in my seat when I'm not available to be there. I run across that one time on a funeral, and I'm going to teach tonight. I'm going to appoint a designee to sit in my seat when I'm not available. Okay. Number 6, first reading ordinance 2015-03, an ordinance to amend Title 12, Chapter 6, Section 12-602 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding modification to the residential code. That's the fire sprinklers. Bruce, you want to explain it in detail?
Sure. This is the first ordinance that we have to do. There's actually a total of 3 ordinances that we're proposing or that have been asked for. This first ordinance basically modifies the residential building code and deletes the section in the residential code regarding the automatic fire systems for 1 and 2 family dwellings. That's all this one does. There's really no other changes. It's strictly just building code amendment, or the residential code amendment.
Anybody have any questions or comments? I'm the one that put this on the agenda. I've been confronted with the developers, and also I've been confronted with some citizens, especially people that's got multiple lots in Laverne and they want to build for the children, and the type houses they want to build, they tell me it's going to run anywhere from $3,000 to $9,000, and they said it's just not feasible for them to build. This has nothing to do with the houses that's already here. They're exempt. So regardless if this is changed or not, we're still going to have 10,000 houses without sprinklers. This is for residential. Be a first reading Tuesday, and then it'll go to the next month. So everybody have plenty of time to express their concerns about it.
Well, if you don't mind me expressing mine.
Go ahead.
You knew I was going to. You know, thinking it over in the last month and really doing some research on it, you know, I'm not going to debate whether insurances go up or down. I think that's I know our own fire department has done their research locally, and I think 6 out of 7 local insurance companies go down some as low as 20%. You know, there's no argument that they save lives, they save property. And I think it all comes down to what we prioritize, whether we prioritize safety or growth, which are both important to our city. I don't disagree with that, but I think our number one responsibility to our citizens, and not just to our citizens, but to our fire personnel, our emergency responders, is safety. And I think we have to look at that. I could keep going, but I'm going to let someone else speak for right now.
You know, there's either way, if this thing was moved, the people who wants the fire sprinklers, they'll still have the opportunity to have it. Personally, I don't want it. I don't have it in my house. I had the opportunity when I built my house in 2007. I had the opportunity to put it in there. Anybody did, and I didn't put it in there. Same with a storm shelter. I didn't put a storm shelter in there. If I had to do it over, I might have put a storm shelter in there today, but I still wouldn't put a fire sprinkler in there. you know, it's just too much there could go wrong. That's my opinion on it. And nobody's got any more questions, we'll move on to
I
number
do have
7.
one more response to it, since
Okay.
no one else did,
Go
and
ahead.
then I'll be done. If I could go back to 2000 when I built, I would put it in. There's a big difference in putting it in the beginning versus retrofitting it. If I could amortize it over 30 years right now, yeah, I think I would do it if I had that ability. And I don't disagree with you on the storm shelter. I'd love to have a storm shelter as well. However, it's almost like the cars. I don't know the last time you had an option of seat belts or airbags. They keep people safe. And so that's my thoughts, and I'll end it right there.
Thank you for your comment. Number 7, first reading, ordinance 2015-04, ordinance to amend Title 7, Chapter 2, Section 7-229 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding water sprinklers system for industrial and commercial buildings. I'll open this up for discussion.
Let me explain it further. This is the second ordinance that, this one specifically deals with commercial and industrial buildings. Currently, our municipal code requires any commercial or industrial building over 5,000 square feet to have a sprinkler system. What this ordinance does is essentially removes that 5,000 square foot requirement, and any industrial or commercial building in the future, if this is approved, would have to have a sprinkler system however it's required by the building code or the fire code. So you're basically going to the building code or fire code standards when it comes to fire sprinklers in the future. So that's what this change does, and the highlighted changes there in that first paragraph and then in letter C are the only two changes being made in this ordinance.
I know on this deal here, in the past, I've known people come in with a plan for 5,000 or 6,000 or 7,000 square foot. Then they find out anything over 5,000 carries a water sprinkler. Then they change the plan to 4,900. They'll sacrifice the square foot to not have to put the sprinkler in there. So, you know, this is still it's doing away with the 5,000 square foot, but we're still following the fire code. Tom?
Okay. My only question to you, I have several questions, but I guess what happens, we have a new development, somebody comes in, under the current fire code, I believe, if it was something that it's 12,000 square foot, I believe, if it isn't anything like fireworks or anything that is flammable, so on. What happens when they sell? At that point in time, we have no way to another company. That's one thing I look at, where they have to go back in and retrofit, or do they retrofit, or what kind of checks and balances do we have there? I also look at our fire personnel. You're now getting into buildings that are huge, and again, we're putting their lives at risk. So again, I'm very comfortable, and I may be the only one, but I'm very comfortable where what we did 6 months ago, and again, we looked out for our public's safety, our personnel's safety, and their hopefully keeping their property safe as well.
I'm sure Smyrna and Murfreesboro and a bunch of more cities had the same thing, but everybody's got their opinion, and I appreciate everybody's opinion. Anybody has anything on number 7? Going on to number 8, first reading ordinance 2015-05, an ordinance to amend the City of Laverne zoning ordinance to change the official zoning map of tax map 29, parcel 20, consisting of approximately 63.25 acres located along Blair Road from a I-2 heavy industrial zoning district to a PDR, planned density residential, and R3 high density residential zoning district, and approve the concept plan for the Blair Road apartment development. Received an unfavorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on February 24th, 2015. Any questions?
Do we have any news on this?
Not officially, no news. So Kyle, you ain't seen nothing in writing about this, have you?
I think Chris may have some conversations today with some.
So nothing official, we'll go on as this thing is official. Me and Calvin, we was on the planning commission the other day on it. Calvin, you have anything to say about it?
No, I'm waiting for official word.
Okay. If nobody's got any more, we'll move to number 9.
If we're going to keep it on there as if it is, I tend to agree with our vote 6 months ago, last July. Again, remaining consistent, safety over development.
Okay. Anybody else? Moving on to number 9, resolution 2015-01, a resolution of the City of Laverne Board of Mayor and Aldermen to declare certain property owned by the city to be surplus to the city and need to be directly disposed of the same way. Bruce, this is 2 fire engines, right?
Yes, sir. The fire department has requested we put 2 of their apparatus on for surplus property, and I think we have assistant chiefs here that can explain the need to put those into surplus.
Mr. Mike?
Yes, sir. The 1991 Pierce air ladder that you see is currently housed at Station 2. It's one that's being replaced by the new one. Also the tower, it's 1984. It's being replaced by the new tower. The thing we're running into is we're running out of room, and we need to put these 2 trucks on gov deals and get them out of here. Now timing's going to be the factor. Once we establish a defined delivery date, the trucks will not leave till after our new trucks get here.
Do you have a estimate cost of how much we've spent the last?
I do not have that data with me, Mr. Mayor. Chief McCormick does, and he's out tonight due to medical reasons. If you want to know the truth, it's costing more to keep them than it is to more than they're worth.
Okay. Good deal.
And we can have that data for you by Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Maybe you can have, I like to see it before then.
Sure, we can get it to you.
I can attain it for you tomorrow and bring it to you. I just don't have access to the computer here.
Good deal.
And I'm not good enough on my telephone yet.
Right. Anybody else have any more questions?
Yes, sir. Chief, have we heard any more on the grant that we put in for the new pump?
On the new pumper?
Yeah.
In fact, Ms. Luster and I looked at this afternoon. We have no correspondence. Awards are not given till March. March, June, September. We're just on a holding pattern. It's kind of like waiting on Santa Claus to come for Christmas. But I feel pretty good about it. But as soon as I hear something, I'll transmit through Bruce and get it out to y'all.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mike. No more questions. Moving on number 10, resolution 2015-02, a resolution to amend a personal policy to procedures manual by adding a new inclement weather policy. Bruce?
Yes, sir. With the weather we had last week, we had to make a lot of decisions about closing city offices or opening late or closing early, and it really emphasized the issue that we don't have a written inclement weather policy. So what this is it's a new policy that we'll put in the personnel handbook that basically lets everybody know how these issues will be handled in the future. And as far as I'm concerned, I hope we go another 21 years with no more ice and snow like we had last week.
Amen to that.
But you know, the weather we had just really emphasized the need for this policy last week.
Any questions? Number 11, motion to approve a merchant's process and application and agreement for the first Dedare merchant service to accept credit cards at the concession stand at Veterans Memorial Park. AC?
Yeah, Glenn and I had a meeting, and Phyllis has also been involved with this. We wanted to bring it to y'all. We've looked at several different options for this, and we actually purchased the units off of Amazon for way less than we would have had to pay if we went through First Data. And we're basically wanting to make sure that everything that they sent us 17 pages, I think it was, and we're wanting to make sure that we're not getting in a contract situation with them, and we want Evan to look over it. But we don't have any way to accept credit. We rent buildings every day, and also when the concession stands are open during the year, there's no way for customers to pay with credit or debit, and it would provide a service for them. Plus, we're losing a lot of revenue by not having that option. So I think if we get it in there, what the small fees that we'll end up paying for these will will exceed that with the benefits of being able to let the customers use it.
And y'all gonna use the parks?
We're gonna have, we actually purchased 3. We're gonna use 1 at the Parks building because a lot of kids come in and they wanna do ball sign up during the day and they don't have cash. I mean, so many times we've had to tell them, you know, we don't take credit. So we're gonna put 1 at the Parks building, and we're gonna have 1 in each big concession stands, so.
But it's no contract that you know of?
Well, that's what we're waiting to find out from Evan. He's gonna look over it. Under mine and Glenn, when we met with him, it was our understanding that it was just like a user agreement. And, but 17 pages is a big user agreement.
Who's providing the equipment?
We're providing it. We purchased them off Amazon, and saved what, about $400 a piece, wasn't it, Glenn? Yeah, so it was a lot cheaper to do it that way than to buy through them.
Well, y'all know something by the meeting on the...
I'm hoping if Evan has a chance to look over it before Tuesday, I'll get here early and bring it to him. And
So the contract agreement on will be a main thing that I want to know.
Well, that's the thing. They said it's not a contract. It's a user agreement, but 17 pages is an awful big user agreement.
It come across as an application.
Yeah.
But it had, like he said, 17 pages, so we forwarded it to Evan, and he's been in court all week, so he said.
I bet it's somewhere it's hidden in there, it's a 3-year. It's a 3-year.
I don't think there's any time frame
No,
in it. It's
and that's the thing. We own the equipment, so the only thing, it's like a cell phone. We pay for their service, is it, and we're doing it through Sam's, which is a far better deal than anybody else that we looked at.
Good deal. Any questions? We're down to discussion, county fire trucks.
You go right ahead, sir.
Currently, we have 2 trucks, and I'm not good on history because I hadn't been here that long, but I'll try to impress you, Mr. Mayor. County bought one for the city of Laverne in 1991. It is a 2-door. I don't have the model and everything with me. Then again, they furnished one in 1999. Currently, we are maintaining these apparatus. We are housing these apparatus, but we have no titles to these apparatus. We're at a point in our department, we either need to give these trucks back to the county or obtain the titles to them so we can liquidate them. Again, this is a situation, it's costing more to keep them on our grounds than they're worth.
Did y'all use them?
They are reserved right now, and I know it sounds like we've got a whole herd of fire trucks. But when the new trucks get here, it will be a roll-up process. We'll use 2 trucks now currently for reserve, get a higher ISO rating for those, which leaves these trucks. And another problem, we have no place to put them. Storage is the problem. We do have to maintain them, and the maintenance cost is astronomical. We can save the city a lot of money rather than maintain and liquidate.
So actually, who's got the title, the county?
To my understanding, sir, the county has the titles to these trucks. Mr. Bruce may have more information on the transaction that was done to get these trucks here is before my time. But I understand the county has the titles. They bought them, one being through tax money and one being through judicial money.
Bruce, you got anything to add to it?
And basically, you know, with these being county-owned, there's not a lot that we can do. You know, they were not really given to the city, but they were given to us to be used by the city, but they still retain the title. I believe we have to insure them and keep them maintained. And of course, at this point, we have the new apparatus coming, And like Chief Culbertson said, you know, we don't have a place to put them once the new equipment gets here. And of course, the maintenance costs are very high. So I think at this point, our best course would be to start a discussion with the county on what we need to do and what they're willing to do. Obviously, they gave us these trucks to use. You know, if we give them back to the county, maybe there's something else they can give us in lieu of instead of these trucks to help our department or help the city. And you know, these are all issues that we're going to have to discuss with the county and try to come to some sort of agreement on what to do with these two trucks.
Any questions?
One of the trucks is barely meeting NFPA compliance right now. It is a two-door cab. Basically, it's a two-man cab. We're trying to get to a point where we run 3 men on the truck always. So,
can you also on these trucks here get me the what's been city spent on it last 2 years?
okay.
Thank you.
Get that data to you tomorrow, sir.
Thank you, Mike. Moving on to number 13, it's another discussion, city administrator's performance evaluation. I guess this is a Miss Cheryl issue here.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Aldermen. You have a copy of the City Administrator Performance Evaluation template that is going to be used for March 2014 through February 2015. We have to do an annual appraisal for our City Administrator, and you have the information before you. Basically, it's going to involve completing the evaluation and submitting the performance review to me by Tuesday, March 31st, 2015, and then the evaluations will be summarized and included on the agenda for the discussion at the work session on April 2nd. The packet includes detailed instructions as to how we wish for you to go about and proceeding to rate our city administrator. And as you can tell, it's very qualitative. It's not necessarily quantitative, but it's a combination of both. We want to look at various performance categories, and scoring will be over the course of individual characteristics, professional skills and status, relations with elected members of the governing body, policy execution, reporting, citizen relations, staffing, and then we're going to look at supervision, fiscal management. We will also include a portion that talks specifically about the community involvement with the city administrator's involvement. There is also a narrative evaluation section, and we will tally the scores via Human Resources and again present the information on April 2nd. Does anyone have any question about any of the information that's presented in the packet?
I take it you're going to give us a form and we'll fill it out and give it back to you, right?
Yes. We want to give out the packet or the template after the meeting, after the board meeting on Tuesday.
Is this the same thing we done last year, basically?
It is, but it's a different format. So the template is a little different, but it's the same, along the same vein as what we did last year.
Okay.
And this is part of the contract for our city administrator. We have to do an evaluation each year. And if you have questions about the template after you look through the information, feel free to call me and I'll be happy to go over it with you in detail.
Okay. Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to number 14, Bruce, you on the update on the special meeting?
Yes, sir. This is the third ordinance in regards to fire sprinklers. This ordinance is probably the most confusing one, but according to state law, when you're amending your municipal code for your sprinkler systems, that has to be done during 2 special meetings. They have to be at least 2 weeks apart. And the final vote on the second reading has to have a 2/3 approval vote. This is the way it was adopted last year. We did it at 2 special meetings that were 2 weeks apart. So we adopted it properly, but in order to change that, we have to do it the same way. So we've tentatively scheduled these meetings for March the 24th at 5:30 p.m. and the second reading on April the 7th, 2015 at 6 o'clock p.m., which is the same night as our regular meeting, which will be at 7. So this is basically just an ordinance to remove the sprinkler requirements for 1 and 2 family dwellings out of our municipal code. And according to state law, we, like I mentioned, we have a lot of different unusual procedures we have to follow to do that. So that's what this ordinance is.
Any questions? Nobody having no questions. We're down to Mayor and Alderman's comments. Mr. Jones?
I'd just like to say I wanted to thank everyone for inviting me to the neighborhood information gathering or informationals on the Blair Road project. It was very informative, and I think in the long run the situation we'll figure the situation out with both sides. I'm glad everyone was forthcoming with their information, and just so you'll hear it from me and hear it properly as opposed to someone telling you improperly or wrong. I also met with Gross Builders. I believe in listening to both sides of the story. And again, thank you for your inviting me to your meetings on it.
Mr. Broker?
I would just say, I kind of echo what he said as far as, I thanked you that night, but thank you again for having us and inviting us all. I don't know how much I can go into right now other than just to say that we know that that's our area of growth, and like I said last July, we do have to come up with a solution somehow, some way, so we can develop appropriately and with quality over there. So again, thank you.
Ms. Brown?
I would like to say this month has been a very eventful month for commentary, both on the phone and the email, and I want to thank all the people that care enough about our community to call and send their emails. I have read all of them. I have responded to almost all of the phone calls. I have 2 more phone calls I have to make out returning them. But whatever your opinion is of the community is, I appreciate hearing from you. And I've learned a lot this past month. And I just wanted to let you know I appreciate the feedback, and please keep that coming. It's helpful.
Vice Mayor Green?
I just hope everybody stayed well and nobody had any accidents during all this cold weather. And as far as our city, I think all of us up here, and I'm sure all of our people are willing to do whatever we can to do what's best for the citizens. And that's the only thing I've ever wanted to do, and I will continue to do that. So, and I know there's a lot of things that need to be done. We know that. And we can only do so much at a time. And I think the city's working really hard to try to make things good for our citizens. And I am proud to be here. I've been here since 1970. So I love Laverne. And that's it.
I want to thank everybody for showing up, people getting up and speak. And I want to also thank the city workers that had to work outside the last few days. It's been a tough job, and Garland, y'all done a good job with keeping the road pretty good shape. I ain't got much sleep in the last couple of days, but I was there for y'all out on them roads. I was checking the roads with y'all, and Kyle and all of them, y'all had to get out and work in the field. But the firemen, the policemen, public works, even the parks department, I appreciate you. In difficult situations, y'all kept the city going in some the worst weather that we've had in about 5 years. And job well done, and I'll call this workshop closed.